Hello, and welcome back. Today, we are looking at Discover Your Primary Behavior Domain, the final principle of the self-awareness behavior domain. As you make the journey to self-awareness, one of the most important things to remember is that you are the perfect you, right now, right here, in this moment. Your job, your family, your community, your life is exactly as it should be right now for you to be the perfect you, right here in this moment. As you hone your skill of positive presence and practice every day the conscious thought processes to create and adjust to a positive and energized mindset from which you can apply the positive presence behavior competencies of influential leadership, you will ultimately enhance your behavior capacity for performance excellence in your life, at work, and at home. This enhanced behavior capacity allows you to rise above the emotional aspect of any situation so that you can make the most effective choice that will produce the optimal outcome toward your goals and your dreams. Your human existence depends on social relationships, and the success of any organization depends on the life-giving power of relationships among its people. Socially focused organizations have the ability to form positive, energized relationships that are built to survive today's chaos, ambiguity, and complexity. As a leader, knowing your personal behavior style and how it impacts others creates social intelligence within your organization. When you know your own style and have an understanding of the other distinct styles, you are able to adjust and change your social interaction to lead, inspire, and motivate others to be the best they can be. Your ability to adjust and change requires an open mind and an open heart. It requires you to relax and receive without bias or prejudice. It requires a conscious effort and practice. Your ability to quiet the mind chatter and focus in the moment, your ability to be present in the moment is a huge accomplishment and one that we will continue to practice a lot. My friend Dina Proctor is a living testament to the fact that meditation and mindfulness not only brings peace and clarity, it can be used to train our brain for focus. I have adapted one of Dina's 3x3s into a mini meditation, a mini-med, to open your mind. The music that accompanies the mini-meds is a type of brainwave music. Brainwave music has been proven to move a person into a more positive mental and emotional attitude. The clip that you are hearing is typical of the theta brainwave state, which has proven benefits such as a deeper connection to one's emotions, increased intuition, greater levels of energy and relaxation, enhanced self-awareness, and a greater ability to enter into a highly focused, effortless learning state. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath. Welcome to the mini-med for thought cleansing for an open mind. For these couple of minutes, I invite you to find a comfortable position for your body and let every muscle relax any tension right now. You may be feeling that there are so many thoughts, it just feels like your brain is so crowded and you would love to be able to just have a thorough cleansing, to have any thoughts that no longer serve you, to be easily removed and released, and to have those good flowering thoughts be even more deeply planted in your mind. Imagine that there's a warm ball of light energy that is surrounding your physical being and concentrated right around your head, just bringing a feeling of warm, supportive love around your mind and your brain. This warm light and this ball of energy is easily able to infiltrate right into your brain, right into every aspect of your mind. Let this energy in and invite it to do its work. Let it encompass every brain cell,
every dimension of your mind and weed out, easily releasing any thoughts that no longer serve you, and rewire any thinking that needs to be rewired right now. If there's something specific that's been bothering you, invite the warm, healing light to handle that situation, to come in and sort out the useful thoughts and easily release any thoughts that are blocking your solution and your movement forward. Just really staying still and letting this light energy do all the work. It's cleaning and purifying your thoughts and rewiring the way that your thoughts are stored in your brain. Let yourself just settle and breathe deeply as this light does its work, maintaining that deep stillness and peaceful trust that this light energy is doing great positive work for you right now. And now, let your body take one last deep breath in, knowing that the thoughts remaining are those that serve you best and are grounded and present in solution and love, moving you forward. Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? Across from you? What sounds do you hear?
The importance of self-awareness cannot be overstated. Your thought and behavior habits are perfectly designed to get the results they are getting. The question is, are your habits taking you where you want to go? At the same time, far too many of today's leaders are unaware of how they are perceived by their peers and subordinates. How they see themselves drives their behavior. Often, leaders in places of authority and success-level positions are protective of the behavior they believe is the source of their success. They are unaware of the disruption they cause, and their behavior lapses are obvious to everyone but to themselves. A habit is a behavior or attitude we keep repeating. A habit is something we do so often it becomes almost automatic. Each of us develops certain habits that gradually become firmly embedded in our life and work. Being aware of our patterns is essential to utilizing and leveraging our strengths, as well as identifying and correcting our barriers. We don't determine our future. We determine our habits, and our habits determine our future. This personal discipline of awareness is about how your habits help or hinder you achieving your goals and living your values. If you cannot give an affirmative answer to the question, are your habits taking you where you want to go? Then if not, it is time to change your habits. You have heard me say that you cannot lead others to be the best they can be until you first commit yourself to being your very best self. Knowing and practicing what it takes to be your very best self is hard work. It takes time, and in many instances, it takes a lot of courage. What's more, knowing and practicing the necessary balance between being your very best self and being the best you can be for others is crucial. In healthcare particularly, where you actually sign up to give of yourself to others, and more often than not, you are personally fulfilled and gratified in that role. There is a very fine line between looking after others and looking after yourself. In fact, in today's atmosphere of ambiguity, complexity, and financial restraints leading to high-stress work environments, there is ample potential for a diminished state of what they call professional quality of life. More than half of healthcare workers suffer from role overload, a situation that is damaging their physical and mental health and putting many on the fast track to burnout, compassion fatigue, and/or vicarious trauma. Role overload is not caused by the number of hours worked. but rather by the increasing complexity of the work, the complex interdependence, the constant competing priorities, and a culture in which every task is urgent and it is unacceptable to say no. Research has found that the very process of empathy that makes you good at your job and fulfills and gratifies you makes you vulnerable to being profoundly affected by burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious trauma. Many caregivers focus on others at the expense of their own well-being. Burnout can be described as the overwhelming physical and emotional exhaustion that workers can experience when they have low job satisfaction and feel powerless and overwhelmed at work. It is therefore crucial for you to replenish yourself and commit to having a life outside of work that includes daily nurturing activities. This is where your skill of positive presence becomes critical. Choosing the thoughts that will keep you in a mindset that is positive and energized at work, on the job, is critical. The job you have chosen is likely not going to change. The complexity, the demands, the constant change, and the fiscal restraints, they are here to stay and are beyond your circle of influence. The aspect of your work over which you do have control is you, your thoughts, your feelings, your action, your behavior. This is when you must find the balance between your ability to deliver service excellence and your personal well-being. This is when you need to recognize the early warning signs of burnout, compassion fatigue, and the like. It's during the early signs that you must make the necessary mindset and behavior adjustments and habits. It is so important to have your thought and behavior habits created and working long before you are hit with a personal crisis or traumatic life event. Burnout can be found in all occupations and in any work environment that is stressful. Within the work environment, burnout is at one end of a continuum, whereas at the other end of the continuum, people experience energy, are involved with their work, and experience feelings of effectiveness. The two primary drivers of burnout include excessive workload and conflicts of personal values with organizational values. Thus, burnout is caused by unmet role expectations within an organization and is really more related to how you perceive organizational expectations and demands. Burnout comes on slowly, but there are specific steps that have been identified in the process, such as you begin with loving your job, loving your life, and high ambition to succeed. As time goes on, you work harder and you work longer. You begin to neglect your emotional, physical, and spiritual needs. Life starts to feel unfulfilling. And then there is a change in your work efficiency, and you deny work-related problems. Then there is social withdrawal, changes in your behavior, and a depersonalization of your job. You may have feelings of emptiness, and then depression, and finally, physical and emotional collapse. Remember, too, that you do not have to take this journey alone. Creating and maintaining a strong and positive support system of peers and colleagues is important. Also, when you are clear on your personal values and purpose and have aligned them to your organization's values, mission, and vision, you will have the power to stay focused and also to reach out and help others. Compassion fatigue, also called secondary traumatic stress or vicarious trauma, is a type of burnout but far more pervasive. It appears in occupations dealing directly with trauma victims. It emerges suddenly and with little warning, and includes feelings of loss of meaning and hope, and can have reactions associated with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Compassion fatigue has been called the cost of caring by some, and can be described, in other words, as an emotional desensitization one undergoes when faced with trauma on a consistent basis. Individuals suffering from compassion fatigue are not the ones directly traumatized, but the ones who are helping trauma victims. This consistent exposure leads to significant emotional strain and can cause emotional effects similar to those of the trauma victim. In other words, they suffer vicariously through the victim. Caregivers can become profoundly affected by their exposure to indirect trauma, leading to a loss of innocence and interference with one's ability to enjoy daily living and connection with others. Again, this is where your skill of positive presence becomes critical. Choosing the thoughts that will keep you in a mindset that is positive and energized at work, on the job, is critical. The aspect of your work over which you have control is you, your thoughts, your feelings, your action, your behavior. If you feel you may be suffering, ask for help. If you know someone that may be suffering, tell a superior or offer your ear with kindness and without judgment. Knowing the signs to watch for and the techniques and exercises to mitigate vulnerability are very important. A deep understanding of the human condition of perceiving is critical. Perceiving is the process of using the senses to acquire information about the surrounding environment or situation. Without awareness, our perception is driven by our brain's default setting to find a match from a previous life experience. When we apply our skill of positive presence and look at the situation with a positive and energized mindset, only then will we have the ability to choose the most effective behavior for the optimal outcome. This picture is a great example of perception. Who sees a young woman? Who sees an old woman? Who can see both? There are 3 levels of self-awareness, and we pass through all 3 levels as we adapt and acquire self-awareness as a performance behavior skill. At level 1, we recognize our habits. You cannot change what you are unwilling to see in your own habits. Another term for perspective is focus frame. You can get locked into your own focus frame and lose a great deal of perception and perspective in the process. You may also find yourself lapsing into the behavior of denying and defending your current habits and behavior. This is pretty normal, but the consequence is that you live with an inaccurate or distorted view of what reality is or could be. This is very common, so if you are beginning to relate to this, you are not alone. But now, we must begin to clearly see and respond effectively to our current habits. At level 2, you understand how your habits impact other people. It takes a lot of awareness and discipline and practice to avoid the trap of confirmation bias. This is a mental thing where we look to find what we are predisposed to be looking for in people and events. It's a type of self-fulfilling prophecy that leads to distortion of our focus frame and perspective. One illustration of this is the way the phrasing of a question can significantly change the answer. For example, people who are asked, "Are you happy with your social life?" report greater satisfaction than those asked, "Are you unhappy with your social life?" At this level, level 2, we learn to stop. We stop defending, "I'm just being me." We stop distorting the facts to fit what you want to believe. That's confirmation bias. And we have to stop shooting the messenger. It's all about pausing to reflect and asking yourself the question. So, if I'm getting the feedback, I have to stop, consider what I'm hearing, and say. So that being said, what and how do I need to change? It's as simple as that. At level 3, this is where we take action to change and improve. This step requires a great deal of courage and honesty, and it requires 4 essential elements, commitments from yourself, if you will, to ensure success. First, let go of the past. Today is a new day. If your behavior has caused major grief or damage, find the courage to apologize. Second, develop a passion for truth-telling. Trust will only develop when there is harmony between the values we profess and the behavior we exhibit. Third, be supportive and helpful in all you do. Trust will not develop in a cynical and negative environment. And finally, start with one behavior and habit change at a time and invite someone on the journey with you. This slide illustrates how different people focus on different aspects of a situation. No two people have the same focus frame because no two people think the same or have had the exact same life experiences. Even when we hear the same words or see the same event, your focus will be different than mine. In the workplace, this becomes a key factor, and getting everyone on the same page can be challenging. Furthermore, many people tend to invest significant emotional energy into defending their focus frame rather than seeking to understand other aspects of the circle of reality. Again, we must proactively and intentionally seek to understand what is outside our personal focus frame, knowing always that there are not just one, but many differing perspectives, perceptions, and realities. The key is to keep an open and quizzical mind, to be clear on the mission, vision, and purpose of your organization, to be clear on your values, your purpose, and the ever-changing environment that you find yourself in, to pause, reflect, and ask questions, always striving to bring a positive and energized energy in harmony with those around you. Reality means real existence, an actual being or existence, as opposed to an imaginary, idealized, or false nature. Here we see some common examples of misconceived perception. Perception 1, not motivated to work quickly. Reality is, individual takes time to process information. Perception 2 is direct and curt. Reality is, the person is task-focused. Perception 3, always talking does not get work done. The reality is, the person is energized by people. And finally, perception 4, doesn't want to make own decisions. The reality is, prefers a strong leader. An influential leader always chooses the most positive mode of perception. Always. If your perception is of a negative nature, you must stop and reflect, and then give the benefit of the doubt. Then, if and when your perception proves incorrect, find the most positive approach to address the issue. This is the reality matrix or Johari window model that is widely used for self-awareness, personal development, group development, and understanding relationship. It was developed in 1955 by psychologists Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham, hence the name, and is still used today as a visual representation of a person's character. The goal is to expand quadrant 1, which is the top left quadrant, vertically through self-disclosure or exposure, and in doing so, diminish the private or hidden area, which is quadrant 3 in the bottom left. And also, we want to expand quadrant 1, top left quadrant, horizontally through feedback or solicitation, and in doing so, we diminish the blind area, which is quadrant 2 at the top right. At the same time, through self-discovery and the observations of others, you will diminish your area of unknown or undiscovered. Performance excellence and strong relationships depend on trust. One of the most effective ways of building trust with others is by disclosing information about yourself and soliciting feedback from which you build your awareness for improving relationships. Using this model in a group setting will help build awareness and relationships within the group, improve communications, enhance relationship skills, and increase metacognitive abilities. Quadrant 1, top left, is the most important quadrant, and as it expands, you will not only improve your ability to communicate honestly and openly, you will strengthen relationships with all those around you. Successful people possess a very large quadrant 1, which is also called the open or free area, the arena, or the public quadrant. This quadrant represents all the things you know about yourself and that others know about you, including your behavior, knowledge, skills, capabilities, attitudes, thoughts, feelings, and public history. This quadrant is where you are the happiest, where others are aligned with you, and there is positive verbal and nonverbal communication. Trust and cooperation are at their highest here. It is in this area that goals are attained and success is realized. The blind area is quadrant 2 at the top right. It is not an effective or productive space for individuals or groups to be in. Influential leaders take responsibility for reducing this area by first asking for feedback, and then by giving sensitive, non-judgmental feedback, encouraging feedback and/or disclosure, and creating an environment without fear. The hidden area, quadrant 3, is at the bottom left. It is also known as the private area, the facade, or the mask area, and includes sensitivities, fears, hidden agendas, manipulative intentions, secrets, anything that a person knows but does not reveal. Your organizational culture and working atmosphere have a major influence on team members' preparedness to disclose their hidden selves. The unknown area is quadrant 4 at the bottom right. It is also known as the undiscovered or unconscious area, and it is the part of yourself that neither you nor other people see. Influential leaders create an environment that promotes the processes of self-discovery, constructive observation, and feedback among team members. To be successful as a leader in today's complex, ambiguous, fast-changing, and highly demanding work environment of healthcare, all leaders and managers need easy to get, easy to use information that explains why people act the way they do and what motivates them. You need actionable items that help you know how an individual can be coached, understood, and engaged. And you need an understanding of key behavioral factors that critically impact success, providing information that makes every person you coach more valuable and productive. As a result of the expense attached to professional coaching, there is a huge shift throughout organizations in all industries to implement a coaching mindset for culture shifts and for sustaining a positive and energized culture. This coaching mindset, or self-coaching, is a process of taking control of your own actions through targeted, conscious planning and thought to create the results you want. It is adult learning theory at its best. It is a process-based, steady progression focusing on your goals and your individual situation to create an environment of learning about yourself. Neuroscience and quantum physics has proven that we can train our minds to change our brains. In an abstract sense, our life is a flow of energy and information. We can think of our mind as our brain in action and must remember that it is a continuous, ongoing process. These processes involve a flow of information and energy. Neither human brains nor human minds exist without social relationships. Using your skill of positive presence enables you to cultivate a coaching mindset for a positive flow of emotional energy within yourself and with those around you, to create a system-wide perspective of flexibility and change to create a positive flow of social relationships. The consequence of not knowing why people act the way they do and what motivates them, of not knowing how an individual can be coached, understood, and engaged, and of not knowing the key behavioral factors that critically impact success are devastating to performance. You will see decreased productivity. You will see people not asking for help, people not sharing information. You will notice people won't tell the truth, and they will have a my way or the highway approach. There will be missed deadlines and rework and poor quality of work and chronic absenteeism from both mental and physical illnesses. This slide introduces us to the situational leadership model. As the name implies, under this theory, leadership depends upon each individual situation, and no single leadership style can be considered the best. For Hershey and Blanchard, tasks are different, and each type of task requires a different leadership style. A good leader will be able to adapt her or his leadership to the goals or objectives to be accomplished. Goal setting, capacity to assume responsibility, education, and experience are main factors that make a leader successful. Not only is the leadership style important for a successful leader-led situation, but the ability and the desire of those being led is also a critical factor as well. So not only do you need to know and understand your own personal behavior domain, but you need to know and understand the behaviors of those you work with and be able to flex and change accordingly, to have the agility to inspire, motivate, and engage them for increased productivity, strong working relationships, and better physical and mental health. As we allow the most recent information to settle into our brain, let's take a moment for a personal check-in. This means that it's time to be mindful, a time to pause and ask yourself questions. So please close your eyes. The reason you must close your eyes when you do exercises like this is because your eyes bombard your brain with messages at the speed of light. So fast, in fact, that for the most part, it is completely unconscious to you. So now, take a deep, deep breath and repeat with me, either silently or aloud. What sort of feelings have I had since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What have my thought patterns been like since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What have my behavior patterns been like since my last check-in? And count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And open your eyes. Having first been introduced to this in your positive present skill building, you should be getting into the habit of doing this by now, and you may even have noticed and even been surprised by some of the answers that are coming to you. Regardless of what the answers are, there is no answer that is ever wrong or bad. The goal is for your feelings, your thoughts, and your behaviors to move you with peace and grace toward what you want, whatever that may be. A personal check-in is also a good opportunity for you to do a physical body scan. You've been sitting for a while now, and you will need to stretch your muscles. So, either sitting or you can stand, and make a conscious effort to bring your body to a state of relaxed anticipation. Beginning at the top of your head, as you slowly breathe in and then out, I want you to first consciously acknowledge the top of your head, your scalp, and then focus on relaxing your scalp. Next, consciously acknowledge your face, and then focus on relaxing your face. Now, your arms and your hands. Gently shake them out. Now your chest, your abdomen, your hips, your legs, and your feet. Wiggle your toes and stretch it out and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, if you are standing, please take a seat. And again, please close your eyes. This time, I would ask you to repeat after me, either silently or aloud. Please allow my mind to be open and accepting of all information coming to me, that I may think upon it in the days to come Now open your eyes. You will never lead other people successfully, influentially, if you do not lead your own self well. Benjamin Franklin wrote, "A man wrapped up in himself makes a very small bundle." Self-aware people know and are comfortable talking about their strengths and their weaknesses, and they have a thirst for feedback on how their behavior impacts other people. However, people with no or very low self-awareness misguidedly interpret the messages that they need to improve their behavior as a threat or a sign of weakness. In the worst case, they not only reject the message, but shoot the proverbial messenger in the process. So as you take some time in just a few minutes for discussion and for putting pen to paper, allow your mind to stay open and your energy field to be high and positive. In doing so, you will be comfortable talking about your strengths and your barriers. You will be the person with a thirst for feedback and a hunger to behave so others can be their best. The skill of positive presence, your ability to adjust for and create a positive and energized mindset through conscious thought processes, requires a focused self-awareness for a new way of thinking and being. It is a way of thinking that focuses on improving the emotional energy flow within us and around us, at home, at work, and in our community. It is a purposeful way of thinking and behaving that brings us life and strengthens every human relationship. And in the same way we exercise for physical strength and wellness, we will take a few moments to listen to a mini-med to exercise for cognitive strength and train our brain. So please, close your eyes and take a deep, deep breath.
Welcome to the mini-med for training your brain. For the next few minutes, I invite you to sit comfortably and find a place of calm, peaceful stillness within you, letting any thoughts and any tension melt completely out of your body. As you let your body settle in, and as you feel your shoulders relaxing and your thoughts releasing, I invite you to consider a visual representation of the neural pathways of your brain, the thought patterns of your brain. You might imagine them to be like roadways, or railroad tracks, or canyons where energy or water would flow through them. And identify in your brain which are the old thought patterns, the old pathways that you wish to withdraw attention and energy from, and then identify where the newly formed pathways are being laid. Two separate areas of your brain. Like roadways or paths, one well-worn and one newly formed. Now imagine that the energy source that has been wearing down those old brain patterns, those old neural pathways, that energy source is withdrawing, like a riverbed drying up from lack of water. Those old, worn pathways are drying up and no longer being used regularly. The energy source is shifting. You can feel it shift. You know that it's shifting and leaving behind the old pathways. The energy is flowing toward the newly formed pathways. It's physically altering the way that you think and the way that your mind works. This energy source gently flows, softly shaping new thought patterns, new ways of thinking, new pathways in your brain and in your mind. This energy source is deepening the new pathways, so that they will become your most well-worn ways of thinking. So now, take one more moment and imagine this energy source deepening and solidifying new neural pathways in your brain, gently withdrawing attention where you no longer like it to flow, and easily and effortlessly maintaining and shaping your new thought patterns from here going forward. Come back to awareness. Notice your surroundings. What do you see? Is there anyone beside you? Across from you? What sounds do you hear?
We're going to take some time now for table work within your group. Please take your time. I can't stress enough how important these few hours are to give your mind a break, allowing it to have some time and space away from your regular routine. This is also a good time to practice staying focused and on task. Be present in the moment, right here. Be respectful of this time and others by leaving your electrical devices turned off and face down. You will see notes pages at the end of the manual section for personal use in gathering insights and questions as you move through the material. And finally, as a group, refer to our table time rules, which you will find on page 12 in the introduction section of your manual. You will find this slide on page 21, chapter 4 of your manual. So enjoy this time, and I will see you back here in just a bit.